That's the point.
What's the rush?
What do you mean? What's the rush?
Why can't I finish
Dude,
my statement?
because that's all you like doing is talking and talking. No, Levi. Yes, it's true. I'll go back and play it.
But what's the rush? It's a podcast.
Levi, there's no rush. But I'm.
It's over.
Yes, Levi, and I
I
did.
have this problem,
But,
and I can't
dude,
work with you.
that's
No,
why.
no.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the No Days Off podcast. I'm your host, Ethan Garza.
And I'm Levi Garza.
Levi Garza.
And I am Jason
Jason
Nava.
Garza. All right, today we're going to be talking about our good friend, Jason Nava.
We're gossiping about him.
Gossip about him. Oh, yeah. So Jason Nava was born in Mission, Texas.
Correct.
And he was in the McAllen Church, pastoring there. No, I'm just kidding.
I
He was there. And then he went to he was pastoring
I went to
there.
heaven.
He went to heaven. Then him and his family were sent to Edinburgh for about 4 years, and then to Brazil about 5 years. And right now, where are you residing?
Right now, I am in the beautiful city of Brownsville, Texas.
It's not that beautiful.
Gorgeous city. You should see the skyline, the skyscrapers, everything. It's
And the
beautiful.
the mountains,
Beautiful.
the rivers,
Been there for about
the Rasacas.
been there about 4 years, and it's all right.
Anyways, Jason, tell us about yourself. Let the audience know who you are and what you do in your life.
So, my name is Jason. My name is
Yes.
Jason Nava. I am 18 years old, and currently I'm a podcaster. Not full time. I work a job.
No Days Off Industries.
No Days Off Industries. That's where I work.
Stupid.
That's pretty much what I do. Management, gossip, all that stuff.
Full-time gossiper.
Full-time gossiper and Rizzler.
Wow. This guy. No, for real.
But yeah, I mean, there's not much else to say. I'm a pastor's son, ex-sinner. You know, a lot of good stuff going to me. I listen to music. I breathe. I eat. I work out. Good stuff. You know, stuff people can relate to.
all the basic stuff that anyone can relate to.
Anyone.
So yes, Jason, what we really want to know is your time in Brazil. That's what we really want to get to the meaty part of this. What year was it that you got sent out to Brazil?
So we got sent out to Brazil in 2014.
Okay.
That was the year we got sent out to Brazil, 2014. Was it San Antonio Conference, I believe?
2013 signed conference and
Yes, sir. That's when we left. 2000. We left 2014.
Levi knows more about
and it was
you
2013 San Antonio. Yeah, I don't. He's been following me more than I've been following myself.
Wow. Okay, so it's 2014 is when you got sent out, correct?
Yes, that's when we left to Brazil, 2014 January.
So how did you find out? I want to know that story. What was it like when you found out you were getting sent out to Brazil?
So initially, funny story, we did not believe my father when he came back from conference and told us, we're getting sent out to Brazil, because it had already been going on for a month or so, where he would randomly be telling us, we're getting sent out to Brazil.
He was already dropping
Yeah,
hints.
he was dropping. He was giving us praise. But the funny thing there is he didn't even know. At that time, he hadn't even. I don't even believe he had talked to my pastor about this. To his pastor about this. So
What do you mean he didn't like?
he hadn't talked to his pastor about going to Brazil.
Who was it was Pastor Roman at the time, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He hadn't talked to his pastor about going to Brazil. They hadn't brought it up to him or anything. Just for some reason, he had it in his mind already about Brazil, and he was already.
He already had it in his heart about
Yes,
it.
exactly. God put something in his mind and his heart.
Yeah.
And
Wow, okay.
that's how it was coming out. And so when he came back from conference and told us seriously, we're going to Brazil, we were like, okay, Dad, this is getting old. It's
You've
time
been saying
to
the
cut
same
it
stuff
off.
over. You've been saying it for years and years.
I know. But we were. He was telling the truth. So
That's freaking funny, man.
yeah, so that was interesting. And as a kid, I didn't even know how to wrap my head around that.
Yeah.
But luckily for my parents, me and my sister took it very well. We didn't really fight then. We weren't very scared about it, which is very odd.
Y'all weren't like, oh, Dad, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to go, all this stuff. I have my family, my friends here, and we didn't really fight it at all because.
So it was easy for you guys. It was easy for you guys just to go along with follow your father.
Pretty much, yeah.
Y'all weren't like, Dad, no, we love it here, Dad.
Yeah.
You were crying, devastated.
Yeah, no, not really. We did cry, but we weren't completely devastated. Yeah. I haven't cried since then. That was the last time I cried.
I've never
Last
cried
time I
since
cried.
that. I don't.
9
Crying
years
is for
old, last
weaklings.
time.
That crying is for weak men. That all dumb.
Yeah, but yeah, it's very interesting that we just followed him.
You were 9?
I was 9 years old at that time, but we took it very well, and we went over there and took the entire nation. It's saved now.
Oh, you took it actually up under control.
Yeah, that's funny because I remember, I know that feeling like leaving like a city that you were living in. Like when we were little kids, we were pioneering in Corpus Christi, Texas. And I remember we were there 5 years. That was like all my life, basically, at the time. We left when I was 7. But when they told us we moved to California,
Yeah.
it was like, what the heck? It came out of nowhere. Like, it
Yeah.
literally came out of nowhere. I never heard about it. No one said anything until my dad's like, yeah, like, they got sent out that year at conference 2007. And they're like, we're going to go to Fresno, California, and we're going to leave like next month. And we got there right before Thanksgiving that year in 2007. And it happened so quick. I mean, I was only 7. I
Yeah.
was like, what the heck? Like, Corpus Christi was all I knew. And it was like, wow, like I missed it as a little kid. But then when you move to another a place, like it's like so different, but it's like it's new and it's exciting. You're like, dang, you know, it's cool. Like I liked it. And we were there about 3 years in California, but I know that feeling that when you leave and it's like, what the heck? Like,
Although
wow.
definitely during Corpus, it's not like it. I think we were too young to even feel that like, oh, crying, devastated.
Well,
Corpus, yeah. It
No,
was,
you're good. But I remember, well, when we were in California, I did miss Corpus a lot. Because like as a little
yes,
kid.
leaving from Corpus over there.
Yeah,
was
because as a
different.
kid, you're like, man, like I miss my friends. Like we're moving already. Like you're young, you know what I mean? You don't understand it, but when you get there, it's like you make new friends. You know, new environment, new place, and California was a whole different world.
Yeah.
Than Corpus, because in Corpus, the way it is over there, the race, it's like just black, white Mexicans.
So that's a good question, Jason. So how was it like for you, the culture switch for you when you moved there?
Yeah, so I mean, the same thing that I related is that as a kid that when I got over there, you know, it was all fun and games for us. Of course, my parents were stressed out of their minds.
Yeah.
You know, completely new world, completely new culture, and we were kind of just going with the flow. You know, like we were having fun, we were having a good time. You know, we enjoyed not having school for like a good amount of time.
That's the only reason why I liked it.
For a good amount of time there. But the culture switch is very interesting. You know, I mean, we went there. We did not know Portuguese. It kind of just happened.
Oh, yes,
really
that's right,
fast.
Portuguese.
Yeah, really fast. I mean, what is it? It was October conference 2013, and then from there to January, I mean, no time to learn the language.
Yeah,
you know. So we went over there. We didn't even know anything about the culture, the language. You know, we were barely learning everything. So I mean, it's pretty crazy for as a kid. I mean, I mean, I can't even say I got used to American culture at that point. You know, I was young, super young, and then I go to Brazil, and you know that's just a new culture for me. And during the most important years of my life, like 9 through 14,
Yeah,
you know,
dang, wow, 9 through 14.
9 through 14. I mean, that's just where I grew up. That's where I learned. But God was with us.
Yes, absolutely.
God was with us. A good story is right when we got there in Brazil, they had lost our luggages,
Oh, snap.
our baggage, and then we're there. In
The airport, they lost your leg.
yeah, they lost them.
Oh,
So we were there in a new country. We'd never been in before. Language we could not speak. We couldn't communicate
Yeah.
with anybody. We didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
How do
yeah.
we even get our luggages back? Where do we go? Like, what
What are these idiots trying
Do
to
we
tell
go
us?
back? Did we go back?
Pastor Owen, we lost our luggage. We gotta go back.
We have nothing.
We have nothing
Yeah,
here.
so they're nothing but the clothes on our back. But out of God's grace, somebody there heard us talking
Wow.
in English, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I speak English." And so they went and they did everything for us. They got all of our baggage back. They drove us to the hotel with all of our stuff. Like random person we never met. They did all this for us. They contacted the airport, the hotel, everything. They had even offered for us to stay at their place. They're like, hey, if you don't want to stay at the hotel, you know, you can stay at our place until
Wow,
ever
that's
so much
awesome.
time. And you know, we're not gonna
They just
stay.
opened it up for you guys. They let y'all stay there.
Yeah, but we stayed at the hotel.
Oh,
'cause
okay,
We don't
okay.
trust it. We were like, who's this random person?
I thought y'all actually stayed there.
No. We went to the hotel instead. But I mean, because we're not used to
Trying to
that.
bless you guys.
No. No. But
God,
no,
bro.
I mean, it's a completely new culture, and that's what it's like
Yeah,
over
yeah.
there. You know, people will meet you, barely have a conversation with you at the park, and you're eating dinner at their place.
Yeah, yeah,
later
wow.
on that day. Like, that's just how close everybody is there, how nice everybody
They're in
is there.
Brazil.
Yes, they're in Brazil. Definitely not here in America.
What city was it? What? We won't even open for any.
Yes, Belo Horizonte.
For our friends.
Belo Horizonte, Brazil, which means beautiful horizon. And it really was a beautiful horizon. We
Was
lived
it?
over there in the mountains.
We'll post some photos.
Yes.
up here in
will.
this area, maybe.
Yes, we lived over there. We lived in the mountains, and it was
It's like a jungle environment, right?
I mean, there's a lot of nature, a lot of really big parks, and I mean, surrounding it is just mountains full of lush greenery.
Lush greenery.
But it's more of a jungle environment than. It's more like a jungle environment in Brazil, right? Like instead of it being foresty, like it's way different, right?
Yes, it is. It's very tropical over there. And what I remember what I was telling y'all today is the seasons are switched. So it'll be summer over here, it'll be winter over there.
That's weird.
Winter over there, it'll be summer over here.
That's crazy.
So that is very odd when you fly from here to there, or like during conference or visiting or whatever. It's just a completely different season.
I was gonna ask you about culture shock. Obviously, you're in Brazil, third world nation, totally different from America, totally different from Edinburgh, way different from the Valley. Obviously, way different environment. Valley, small town. When you went to Brazil, what was the culture shock like? Because when we moved to California, it was a melting pot of a lot of cultures, right, Ethan? California was a melting pot of everybody, of everywhere, because of the gold rush back in the day. People stayed. When you were in Brazil,
There was gold out in your streets.
what was it like to be in that environment where you knew nothing? Explain and go into very, very deep detail.
Yeah, it was tough.
It was really tough out in the streets of Brazil.
Try not to be too detailed, but yeah, it was hard. Yeah, no, it was very interesting. You know, used to being in America, used to being around very different people. You know, in the Valley, it's not very much of a melting pot.
The minorities Mexican.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just Mexicans. Just Mexicans. So, I mean, at least I was used to not understanding half the people. So, I mean, going from that to not understanding any of the people, I mean, it's not too big of a difference. Definitely.
But is it Latin? Right?
It is
Brazil's
Portuguese.
Latin. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Latin American country, but it is Portuguese. It's the only nation in South America that speaks Portuguese. All the other ones speak Spanish.
Really?
So that would have been very useful if you went to a Spanish-speaking country, because then I can come back and use that. But now it just messes with my Spanish.
Oh, Portuguese?
Yeah, I try to speak to someone in Spanish, and it just mixes.
Is it kind of like mixed together? Portuguese
Portuguese is very similar. If
Okay.
If you go over there and you speak to the people, it's like 75% is probably like. They'll understand like 75% of what you're saying, and you'll understand like 75% of what they're saying.
So you already had language barrier.
Yeah, so immediately right there, language barrier. So that's already a really big thing. It's hard to learn a culture that you can't even understand the people. Yeah. And the culture is very different. I mean, we're not used to people being so hospitable all the time.
Over there in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, it almost felt fake.
Wow.
But people were so hospitable, it was almost to a fault, that if you would ask somebody for directions, instead of saying, like, if they didn't know where it was, they would lie to you. Because they're it's disrespectful to say, you know, I don't know where it is. Yeah. So they would lie to you to get you to wherever you want to go. I mean, it's not to where you want to go. I don't know where they lead you.
What do you mean?
Like, they would lie to you.
Why?
I don't know, because they thought it was mean to say that they didn't know. But I mean, like, just small
so
things
weird.
like that, you know, that you don't get used to. And another thing that it's very interesting, us Americans will never understand, is that they want military control back.
Over there.
Yeah, their democracy is very new, like 30, 50, I might be wrong, around those amount of years. And so it's very new, and so they don't trust it. They believe it's corrupt, which I mean it is, but I think it's better than, you know, like any type of control, like, because they fought for that as they had a whole revolution. They were inspired by our American Revolution.
Really?
To do their revolution, and they got their democracy, but they want their military control back. So when we went over there, we saw like the mindsets that were built from the military control. You know, they thought a very certain way. You can only use one, like one product would be a good example. Like we would use the product we would always use in America, you know, for the floor, and they're like, oh no, you can't use that product. You know, they say you can only use this product. You know, and so it's just they're
like, don't use clerical butter, use margarine.
Pretty much.
Use margarine.
But no, they're like hardwired into this thing. Like things have to be a really certain way, you know. So that's another interesting thing, you know. It's just a lot of small things like this, and it all bundles together, and you're just not used to it at all. Like, I mean, we fought so hard for our freedom, and we're so proud of our freedom. So going over there, and hearing that, you know, and then us Americans aren't that hospitable. They're not that nice and hospitable. Of course, they are.
You don't get out of my house.
I'll go back to Brazil. They'll welcome me.
You can leave that. Jason's walking back over there. America sucks.
But I mean, that's just the truth. So I mean, we don't know whether to trust them or not, of course. Like
They're in Brazil.
Yes, I mean, because everyone's inviting you to their place and to do all these things for you. You don't know these people, you know. But I mean, it's just something we got used to over time, you know. And as I said, I was a kid, 9 to 14 years old.
So how long did it take for you though to get used to people though?
To get used to, well, as kids, we're very moldable.
Yeah.
So it didn't take very long. We already really loved it and enjoyed everything. It wasn't until later on when we were teenagers that our parents would tell us these things and we'd be like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But when we were just kids, it was just like
hindsight, like oh yeah, kind of.
yeah, like that is kind of weird, you know. And
Yeah.
then when you grow up and then you kind of have your parents kind of raising you in an American Mexican culture type of way when you're in a different culture, you know, it gives you that contrast and you're able to see how cultures are different. Because I mean, as a kid, I didn't really have a reference point because I hadn't, you know, like grown up in America and been shaped by it. So that is something that was very interesting. I know it was probably much more difficult for my parents than us as kids to get used to the whole culture and learn how to speak to people, you know, to trust and how to get by all of the language barriers or culture barriers. But yeah, I mean, I hope that answered your question.
No, very good. That's very good.
Being over there, obviously, you don't know anybody. You don't have any friends, obviously. Was it hard when y'all guys started? Like when you first moved there, you don't know anybody, right? So like when you guys first like build y'all's church, you guys were there building the church, you guys were there inviting people out. You show me pictures. You guys always have people over at your house. Having that environment, it was obviously pretty quick having people at your house, right? Did that help out? Having those people in your life in another country, then let's say like if you weren't even a missionary, you're just there like just to move over there, like obviously like you have this environment, you have these people that care for y'all guys, you're building a church, your dad's a pastor, you have people at your house all the time, fellowshipping. Did that help out a lot, knowing the culture much better than if you didn't have that? And just explain like how it was, like the environment, having those people around y'all in that and in your life in Brazil.
You're saying like the fellowshipping people, or
fellowshipping wise, knowing these people in your life, having them in your life in Brazil, like how did that help and how did that factor in your personal life, having those people in your life in Brazil?
It was definitely very helpful. I imagine a lot of tourists go and they just see people from the outside. They don't really get to know anybody deeply, like the fellowshipping and talking to them, witnessing to them, following up on them. So being able to go there and just building a relationship with so many different diverse groups of people, all of them Brazilian, you know, you really get to learn the culture and the motives and their thought processes behind all of these things. So that's a really good eye opener into their culture and into all of these things. You know, I made some really good friends there. People I still know today. Like, shout out to my friend Marcelo Jenner who got me the shirt. He sent it back with
wearing the Brazilian shirt. Yeah, sponsored.
It's a jersey for a team over there, very big team over there. Cruzeiro.
Cruzeiro, that's what it's called.
That's what it's called. Yeah.
What the heck?
Hey, don't talk bad. They will come after you.
That's a football jersey, right?
Yes, football shirt. And Marcelo sent it with Pastor Brian, the pastor that's over there now. He bought it for me and everything. So thank you. And so,
fellowshipping with everyone though, it helped y'all to be integrated inside that community.
Yes, it did.
A lot easier. Well, yeah, also too, cause you guys were young though. I mean, like you said, it was easy for y'all to be molded in there, to be integrated into that culture for you guys. But was it easy for you guys making friends though over there because of that language barrier and the culture? I don't know. Was it you were homeschooled or were you actually going to school?
I was homeschooled.
Okay.
If I was to go to their school over there in Brazil, I would have to retake every year I took over there here in America.
Oh,
yeah, because of their different school education.
So you would
systems. I would be way behind.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I guess that makes sense.
So in order to counteract that, we did American online schooling. And then when I came back to America,
who was better in school, you or Julia? You gotta be honest. You gotta be honest, too.
I mean, obviously.
That's not what Julia said.
Put up a poll in the comments.
Who was the better school?
Who was the better one in school?
Did you? Okay, real question. Would you witness to people in your school?
No. None of them. Not my one classmate, Julia. My one classmate.
San
My
Jose,
one-
Julie, you need to get saved. Consider that.
I went into the principal once when he was spanking me.
This guy. That's pretty good stuff. Mom, you can't be spanking me. You consider you need to get saved. No, it's dumb. No, so you're homeschooled during that time in Brazil for the
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that was a very interesting experience. I mean, it pulled me out at third grade to homeschool me. Actually, I was already being homeschooled in America for a very short amount of time. They had just pulled me out of third grade and had started to homeschool me. And then we got sent out to Brazil.
Oh, okay.
So it was very new. So I guess we were already kind of used to it.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
we got sent out over there. So, I mean, I'm glad I was still homeschooled when I came back because now knowing how schools
How
are
public school
nowadays
is in America.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad I didn't really get into any of that.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a bad influence on me, especially for when I had just came back from Brazil and I was experiencing reverse culture shock.
Yeah.
Which is a whole different story.
Yeah. And so how big was y'all's church, and how many people your age were there, I guess?
People my age. Oh, what you had asked, was it easy to make friends?
Yeah.
I'll answer that first.
Okay.
Just to go back, not leave anything unanswered. I mean, as kids, it's much easier. You know, I mean, you play around with a kid over there in the playground, and y'all are already best friends for life.
True.
But that had happened one time. I take full credit for half of the church.
Oh, this guy.
Because I was at a playground and I met this guy named Mateus, which is Matthew in Portuguese.
Oh.
And so I was playing around with him. We were kids, we were just messing around. And so I talked to his dad.
Yeah.
And they came over and I talked to my parents, and my parents were able to witness to them. And they invited us, like right there and then, like we only knew them for like 10, 15 minutes. They invited us to go to their place to eat.
Wow, it's just everyone invites you.
Yeah,
out there.
just
It's
right
crazy.
then and there. We went over there. They made us food. Like,
Wow.
they're Americans are famous. So I went over there.
They're Americans.
And we
They
ate
have
their
money.
food. And that family, the majority of them ended up getting saved. They ended up
Wow,
coming to church.
that's awesome.
And it was all because of me.
This guy.
Now I'm playing, it
Glory
was
to
God.
Jason.
Yeah, it was God who guided me there. So yeah, I made a lot of friends. And then of
the whole
course,
church
I grew
was
up-
saved because of
Yes.
you.
So as I grew up into a teenager, it was me.
My dad doesn't give me enough credit, man.
I preach half the sermons. I was on all the flyers.
The founding fathers of
founding
Brazil.
fathers.
Jason there. The perspicaciousness.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a very important time of your life, 9 to 14 years old, learning how to make friends, how to socialize. And so I was able to do that in a completely different culture. And I learned there was a good amount of kids my age there. And even the ones that were my age, I was actually friends with adults more than I was with the teenagers. And I'm sure many missionary
That's
kids
how
and
it
church
is.
kids relate to that. Yeah. When you're out
Exactly
there
how
in
it
the
is.
field, you're just friends with adults. But that helps a lot. Like listening to adults talk, you start to match their maturity.
Yeah.
When you start to speak to them and become friends with them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a good time. It was a good time. Friends with adults. There was also a good amount of teens and younger kids in the church. So I was able to learn a lot there, how to talk to people, how to be friends with people, which of course I struggle with a lot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us do still.
Street preaching. The altar calls. Witnessing, talking to people, making friends with so many different people. Everyone who comes in, you make friends with them. I mean, it's something that, we get it a lot as homeschoolers. It's like, oh, how do you make friends? You didn't go to school. How do you make... Well, we've been doing it all our life with brand new people. We're not forced to be in a classroom with people and then become friends with them. We have to go out and talk to all these people, to witness to them.
Yeah.
It's a bigger...
Well,
much bigger
most homeschoolers
effort.
don't have that though.
Yeah,
I think
true.
I think
but
that's what's cool
it's
about our
connection
fellowship
because
though.
we're in the church, and so we're still able to build.
Homeschoolers are weird.
Yeah.
Homeschoolers
No, they are. I've met homeschoolers that don't go to church.
Yeah.
They're weird.
I mean,
They're weird. You think I'm weird?
and yeah, if you think we're weird for being homeschooled, right? And I'm sure we are, but
no, we're hella weird, especially these guys.
They're probably watching this like, these guys are weird.
It's because we're homeschooled.
Hey, we're homeschooled guys. That's the reason why. And you probably are, but if take out the church aspect, our fellowship actually, right? Because our fellowship is, oh my gosh, I think we benefit so much from our fellowship, right? But take that out and you take a homeschooler, like they're 10 times weirder. I've met someone's like, wow, you're weird.
Like, I don't want to be classified as a homeschooler anymore. I want to finish my last year in high school now.
Right? Just like Sherman graduated already. No, but that's cool. That's cool. Any questions, Levi?
No, yeah, but no, I mean in Brazil, I mean you're obviously there for a purpose. You guys aren't there wasting time. You know, you're building a church, building a foundation for the kingdom of God there for the long run, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, the church is still open, still running, still thriving because of the sacrifice that your family made, right? So with that sacrifice
Jason made.
that your family made, I mean, obviously you're doing something for God, right? The devil is gonna attack, right? And so I know you told me some personal stories, off camera and in the past, about some crazy things that happen. You're there for a purpose. You're there to do God's will. The devil is gonna assault you. So I mean, if you can think of a couple examples where it felt like, wow, this is real, like the devil's mad. Like, if you can say a story like or anything that you can come in your head right now, that'd be
What was the craziest story?
yeah, like when you knew that it was like, whoa, this isn't a game. Like, what was it? Yeah.
Where to begin? All right.
A lot of things
Where to begin? A lot of stuff happened. A lot of stuff. I remember one time Levi visited, and that was the worst.
That's how I knew it was real.
That's what I knew.
The devil is here.
The devil's in this place. I just felt a presence, and I turned. It was like Levi. Let's ring it up.
I guess it's no joke. Okay. Anyway, so man, there's a couple of things. Three major things here. 4 or 5 actually. Maybe 5 major things here. I don't know which one to
Really?
start with. Yeah, there's a lot of
Damn,
them.
the devil's really attacking you.
Yeah, you're still attacking me.
He's still assaulting me.
So let's see. What was the first one? Well, I guess I'll go with an attack on me personally that the devil attacked me with is he attacked my sleep and my peace of mind. I was unable to sleep for a long time. I was just struck with fear, and every single time I would go to sleep, I would have vivid nightmares.
Yeah.
Very vivid nightmares. Some to where I would wake up and I would feel like something was touching me. Or I would wake up and I would look in my hallway and something would be there. Or I would always wake up startled. And
Yeah.
so it was a very, very horrible time in my life. I was so scared to go to sleep. I would sit up in my bed and just with a flashlight looking around until I passed out. And then if I realized I passed out, I wake myself up again and go back in that position. And so that continued for quite a bit of time. But eventually, God helped me through it. God was able to give me peace. And this is something that I still pray for today and I'm very grateful for is I have a peace of mind now. I don't, sometimes we take simple things for granted like sleep and, constantly having my sleep assaulted. I don't take it for granted anymore today. And so that was something that was very interesting. And something that is linked to that is we had found a witchcraft left at our door at multiple times. Left outside of our apartment, outside of our apartment door. Some people leaving witchcraft. So of course people were doing witchcraft, attacking us. And so along with that is my mom had got sick really bad there. Really bad to a point to where that we had thought of leaving because it was really bad. It was not getting better.
What was she sick with?
I don't remember, but she was bedridden, couldn't get up, couldn't do anything, nothing. And so they had kept us from us pretty good. Like I said, we were just there having time of our lives and our parents were taking the blow. They were the shields for us.
Yeah. And I think I wanted to respond to that because you said you were getting assaulted, right? And what I kind of got a revelation off that, that he's taking off again.
I was gonna laugh when you interrupted me because I was like,
he's taking off. No, so that one thing I wanted to go off of that is that it's not just about you. It's like it's the devil like assaulting. It's trying to disgrace your father for what he's doing out there. And it's like if I can't get to you, I'm gonna make your children suffer for that. And that's crazy to think about, especially as a father and a man, as a pastor, right? Doing something for God. It's like he realizes that he has a whole family that he has to worry about. Yeah. And it's like those are not just mind battles on his kids, but also on him. It's like, man, like what am I doing out here? Like it's crazy how it affects everyone in the family when you're leading a family, right? It down trickles onto that. And so your mom was sick and how long was that? That
was for a good while. I think it was months on end, honestly, because I remember for the longest time we didn't see her for a good while. So sometimes we would have to go upstairs and eat dinner with her. You know, it was really tough on us.
Oh, you had a
when-
2-story.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was really tough when we learned about this. And so, I mean, over time, of course, there was a lot of mind battles, of course, to see if we were going to stay in Brazil, if we were going to leave. Of course, we weren't aware of this until later on, but they decided to trust in God and continue praying, continue fighting. You know, my dad didn't let him drag him down. He continued to fight, and the church kept growing, and eventually she got better. So, man, praise God for that, and the church is still there.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. And something you said about also my dad attacking, how they attacked the father, the man of the family. He one time he shared the story where he had woke up one day where there was something on his chest.
Oh man.
He couldn't speak, and so what was it? And so it eventually got off his chest, and it started messing with the blinds. Messing with the blinds, the curtains. He was like, "What's going on here?" And so he eventually rebuked it in Jesus' name, like, "Get out of here!" And then everything moved and then stopped. And then we started crying. Me and my sister. Me and my sister started crying. So we ran in the room, and we didn't even remember anything the next day. But it's just an example of how it was attacking the father.
Yeah.
And also affects the children, just like you said.
That's freaking crazy. And it's so sad that people leave the church, right? Because there's they try to find things in the world, right? Or try to find meaning to their lives, right? But man, just like hearing your dad's story out there, right? Like even though I'm sure a lot of pastors have gone through a lot of stuff, right? They have their own story, right? But just hearing this story, right? It's still crazy. Your dad was like, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna be like a punk and just settle just because the devil's assaulting me, right? Yeah. And it's sad how people just leave the church and they go to the world because it's not exciting, or it's not, they want something better, right? But man, like when you're able to go through that, man, like, and you have stories, and those are victories, man.
Yeah.
And the fact that the church is still there, like your dad did something to the church, like God used him in a powerful way, and he wasn't just gonna back down from that. That's being a man right there. That is such a good story right there for men to, like, I'm not gonna back down just because the devil's things are getting tough right now. I'm here to do a work because God called me to do a work.
And it's such a great example that they set for their kids and their church, and I mean even their wife and their daughter, like just to be able to see like what type of man that they want to be with. Yeah, it's really just a powerful example and influence.
Very powerful example, and it's very powerful. And I'm sure that's something that someone like you could have gone and become bitter. Is like, nah, my dad took us through this and this and that. Even your sister, right? It's like, nah, my parents, that. But the thing is, and that's always a crazy thing. Who knows, like what? I bet you have to get your dad or someone on the podcast, like a pastor. But it's crazy what they might be thinking of, right? It's like, man, like I wonder how my kids feel about this. Like I'm taking my kids through the fire right now. Yeah. Like I'm taking my family, I'm leading them through the fire, and I'm sure that there's those moments where you're like, man, maybe my kids may or may not like stay safe through this, right? And it's true. You could have just been like, I don't know, my dad went out there to Brazil. You could have been bitter, right? But you seeing that, maturing and becoming a man, saying like, I respect my father. Yeah. I respect my father because he never gave up. He never gave up. He took us through the fire and we got out through alive because of my dad's leadership.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, we are a reflection of our fathers, if we choose to follow them and respect them and obey them. And so, I mean, I praise my dad. I thank my dad for everything he's done for me, the example he has set, because I mean, I wouldn't be the man I am today if it weren't for him. I wouldn't be saved today if it weren't for him. As I was telling y'all before, I mean, I really struggled with my salvation in Brazil. I had to get some revelations, and eventually, I was able to finally stick it out for God, completely surrender myself to Him and trust in Him.
Yeah, but yeah, that's really powerful. That is really, really good.
I mean, there's so many more stories I can give, but I'll say that for later. If y'all have any more questions right now,
I think I'm gonna ask you. No.
Yes, I'm single.
Wait, I'm sorry. I mean, it's not interrupting because I was trying to find a script. I was trying to find a scripture to go off of. I was trying to find a scripture to go off of this because just throw it in there. No, No, but that's really good as a father. You know, in Psalms 103:13 it says, you know, as the father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. And then Proverbs 22:6, start children off the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. So yeah, but it's true. You know, like when you're a father, you have to be when you're staying on the righteous path, right? And you do what you need to do. You're gonna train your children to be wise, and they're gonna look up to you, and they're gonna look at you and want to be like you. But yeah, it's really good.
I wanted to go back to what you were saying earlier about your sleep was non-existent pretty much over there. And you told me a lot of stories in the past how you had the devil was assaulting you personally as a young boy with your sleep, having nightmares, you're having sleep paralysis. All this stuff was like just playing a big factor in your young life in Brazil. And I remember you telling me that you would just stay up until you knocked out, until you literally you could not hold your eyes open anymore, and that you would have these demonic dreams. And I remember one particular story you told me at AJ's house. It was a crazy story, and actually one of my favorite stories from you, how you had that one where, I'm not going to spoil it, but the power went out. That one story.
That one.
And can you tell that story? Because that's the most trippiest story I've ever heard. And every time I tell people, they trip out. And just tell that story, but go into detail and then elaborate on how your sleep was affected and by that demonic assault. Just go crazy.
Just go crazy. Go crazy.
Let's start from that night.
So it got dark that night.
The dark night.
It got dark that night. But yeah, I mean, the same as every night, I was scared to go to sleep, but eventually I did. And I always feared going to sleep because I was always scared to go back to the nightmares I would have when I would go to sleep. That was what was so scary to me. And so that night I went to sleep. I was having this horrible another dream. I'm not sure if it was the one where I was probably being followed around by something. That was something that was very common. It was very demonic. Remember, I woke up with a start. I was all scared. But this is before I woke up. The last thing I remember from my dream is somebody going to my light switch. I would wake up and this was in my dream. I would wake up and I would look at my door and someone would be there next to the light switch and they'd be like, "How would you like if I turn off the power?" And then I hear a loud flip of the switch, and then when I woke up, all the power went out.
What the heck?
But
All the power went out.
Your apartment's a big apartment.
Yeah,
Like
big apartment.
How many stories?
Maybe 14.
14 stories, and you have a dream of someone
Yeah.
telling you.
I'm gonna take the power out.
Yeah, someone's literally at your door and you're seeing someone there. I'm gonna turn the power out, and it literally
It
happens.
literally happened.
That is so weird.
The entire building went out for, I don't know if it was the whole night, but it was for a good while. I remember it turned back on though, but
What was the do you know what happened? Like
I
the
have no
report?
idea what happened.
The panel went out, whatever.
Yeah, I mean something went out, but I just remember seeing that in my dream. I was scared, and then the person who's next to the door, and they flipped the switch. Like, how would you like if I turn the power off? Boom! I wake up, all the power's out.
Oh, it's freaking weird.
Yeah, that
what
was.
what did the person look like?
Shaved head.
Levi.
How'd you like it?
Do you look human?
Huh?
Do you remember?
Hooded. Hooded, being like in a dark cloak, some demonic face.
Yeah.
You know how it is.
That one thing that always trips me out about that story is how the spiritual turned into the physical
Yeah.
pretty quick. That's always tripped me out.
Yeah.
I remember until that story at AJ's house, dude. I was so into that thing went off, the ringing. That was the craziest thing ever. For context, what I'm trying to say is that we were at someone's house, and we were telling the story. It was all dark. It was all dark outside. It was already nighttime, and it was a bunch of us in AJ, his brother-in-law, his living room. And he tells this story, and as he right when he says the power went out, in the story, some noise goes off in AJ's house, right? Like some weird buzzing noise. An alarm, buzzing noise turns on, and we're like, "What the heck is that noise?" And AJ never heard the noise in his life, and his mom and dad never heard the noise in his life.
Wow.
And we're all tripping like, "Hey, dude, what is that noise?" We went around the whole house, couldn't find it, and it finally went away and never came back. And to this day, it was already a year ago. That noise in his house never came back, and we're like, "Dude, that stinking story you told." It's like that was
Brought a
weird.
spirit in
Yeah,
there.
that was weird, and that was that was a cool night. But I remember you told me that story, and I always tell people how how that always reminds me how the spiritual turn into the physical, because the spiritual, man, I mean it gets physical. It can get physical. I mean, you're talking sleep paralysis. You're talking about all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's pretty intense, man.
That's pretty interesting. And yeah, and it's true, the spiritual side does manifest sometimes in the dark side. One quick question about that. Have you had any of those dreams recently? Like, do those recur as much as they did back in the day?
Never.
Really?
I've been completely delivered from that. My sleep is so good, a little too good sometimes. Sometimes a little too good.
You sleep in.
Wake up a little late.
This guy, I just can't wake up now.
I just can't.
So, quick question, Jason. So, you went through Brazil. You had a lot of life lessons, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Growing, a lot of good examples in your life, right? Your family, your parents, and people around you that God put in your life. And so, what was your point in your life where you really your conversion? What was your point where your turning point in your life where you I need to change? I know who God is now. I need to surrender who I am. What was that? When was it? What was it like? And how did it come to it?
That is such a powerful revelation that all church kids and all pastors' kids need to get, is who God is. For themselves, they need a personal revelation of that. And I got that in the New Year's party before we left Brazil, the very last one. And this was in December, of course. And so what we do for the very last hour of that year is we pray through the entire hour into the new year. And so I was able to really reflect on myself in that hour, and I saw who I was. I had no self-control. I was such an emotional kid. Had anger issues, I would get saved for a little bit, but there was no real fire, no real conversion or revelation. I would never surrender everything, and I would just fall back into my sin. And I think that's something that many people can relate with.
Yeah.
But it was in that time where I was like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of this, because there's a lot of points in your life where I'm sick and tired of this. I'm gonna get things right, and then you go back. But I had hit a point where I was like, now I'm aware of the cycle. And I'm sick and tired of it. And so I went to my mom during that time, and I was doing the sinner's prayer with her, and she added something in that was very powerful. She said, and because I was repeating it, she said, and reveal who you are to me, asking God to reveal who He is to me. And so as I was repeating that, I heard God's voice so clearly for the very first time in my life. I heard His voice. It was so powerful. He told me, I'm the one you're looking for. And so that was so powerful, because every time I would drift away from church, it's because I was looking for something. Whether that was a girl, a relationship, whether that was some type of secret sin or satisfying my flesh or just my pride, my stubbornness, anything. I was just searching for something, and I was looking for it in the world. And when I realized, it's God, God is the only one that if I search for Him, I will truly be fulfilled. And from that moment on, that's what I did. I vowed to continue pursuing Him, pursuing His will, surrendering myself to Him. And it was that point forward. That's what started the momentum, like you said, the momentum and everything. That's when that was a turning point in my life into my conversion. And it was such a powerful moment, especially to have over there in Brazil and another nation. I feel like you learn a lot about yourself when you're out there in the field being a missionary, when you're making it about others a lot, and it's very, very eye-opening. So and lessons as well that I had learned over there is, as I said already, I was very emotional kid. Wasn't a man. I was a boy, anger issues, sad, feeling sorry for myself, all this stuff. And Pastor Brian, when he went there the very first time, he was a great help to me. He had gave me this advice. He told me the strongest man is a man who can control his emotions. And that really stuck with me. And I had that in the back of my mind throughout my entire process where I was changing from a boy into a man. And that just really helped me transition, to control my emotions. And, I can say nowadays, I haven't cried in 7 years. I'm playing. But
we cried in 7 years. But it's been a long time.
But, it's something that you should really learn, especially in today's age. You look around and so many of these men are just so emotional, living by their emotions, by just the flings of life, like what they want to do in that exact moment. And living a life of chaos. And, it's such an important thing to have complete control over your emotion and your mind.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. That goes tight in with the peace of mind that God gave me when He delivered me from what I was going through with my sleep as well. So it was some very powerful things that God did for me there, powerful revelations that I believe everyone should get.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, yeah, controlling your emotions, right? Controlling the way you react, right? It's Romans 8:6. For the mindset on the flesh is death, but the mindset on the spirit is life and peace, right? So when we're living in our flesh, right, we're producing death, right?
Yeah.
We're producing what's evil. But when we have on the mind on the spirit, which is the Holy Spirit by God, we're gonna have life and peace, right? We're gonna be living a righteous life, and we're gonna rely on Him. And you see that, right? I guess you can see that in the world, right? You see that people are reacting out in the flesh, right? And they're producing nothing but death right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing but corruption right now. And there's nothing but evil. It seems like it's getting worse and worse and worse, right? And yeah, we really need to be careful, right? And all of us as Christians, right? We need to be careful on not subjecting ourselves to our flesh, not subjecting ourselves to the world and what is evil, and becoming better and growing,
And sticking it for the long run.
Exactly.
Because and I haven't got into this before, but my reverse culture shock, I believe I had mentioned this before. When I came back from from Brazil to America, that was much more difficult than going from America to Brazil. I had reverse culture shock. And I had it really
That's weird.
Yeah, really
That's super
severe.
weird.
So I got so used to the culture over there. I mean, I grew up there. As I said, I've said this multiple times before.
Yeah, you
9
mentioned
to
last
14.
time.
Yeah, from 9 years old to 14 years old, I got so used to the culture. That's where I grew up. And so coming back now into America, it felt like it was a completely different culture than what I was used to.
Yeah.
And so that was something. It was very hard to go back to where you used to live and adapt there. No, I had to adapt to a completely different culture in my eyes, and to me, it was a completely different culture that I was not used to. I didn't live there. I had only visited every now and then for conferences, of course.
Yeah.
And so that hit me really hard. I had severe social anxiety, but not the anxiety that everyone claims to have today. You're just shy or stressed. Everyone has anxiety nowadays. Apparently,
Yeah,
everyone's anxious, everyone's depressed.
Yeah.
But I had real social anxiety.
Wow.
And it was to the point I was so scared of people to go out and talk to people. They would tell me, "Oh, we have to do something at church, or we have to go outside." I would be throwing up. I would be so scared. I'd be throwing up, hiding in the restrooms. I wouldn't want to go. It got to a point I lost 15 pounds. I was 115 pounds skinny.
Dude, what the heck? That's crazy.
Yeah, and they had talked
You
about...
were little.
Yeah, they had talked about putting me... because I couldn't eat because I would just throw up. That's how stressed I was. So they had talked about taking me to the hospital, putting an IV in me so I can get my nutrients that way because I couldn't eat without throwing up. So it was a horrible, horrible time in my life. And I was so discouraged. I prayed so much for healing. I'd gone up for healing, of course, as stressful as that was for my social anxiety.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to believe in God, and I was like, "Oh, God's not helping me. I'm not being healed." And so this was a very hard time in my life, because I had always struggled with fully trusting and submitting myself to God. And so it was in this time where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop blaming God. And I'm going to just put my trust in Him. When He'll heal me, when He does, He'll heal me when He wants to, when it's His will. And as soon as I started doing that, I started getting better. As soon as I started completely putting my trust in God, I started getting better. And of course, my parents helped by forcing me to continue going outside and talking to people, regardless of how stressful that was for myself.
Yeah.
That's why discomfort challenges are much better than just comfort and living in. Living like that. So that was something I had to learn to get over. And over time, I am naturally an extrovert. You see pictures of me in Brazil. Everyone who knows me as a kid, I was insanely extroverted to the point to where you wanted me to shut up. Even nowadays.
They still want you to
Even
shut
nowadays.
Still want you to be quiet. Nah.
Yeah, all right.
Nah.
But no,
kidding.
that's how I am. I'm naturally extroverted. So going through this time in my life where I was so socially awkward, my parents weren't used to it. My sister wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to it. I was used to being the center of attention. Just always talking, being that crazy person in church, whatever. And and so that was something I had to get over, and it took a couple of years for me to fix all of that. But eventually, I was able to get back into my normal self. And out of that, because I said that was what started my conversion over there in Brazil, the New Year's. this is what kept it going. This is what started my fire. You know, it was the trust in God and submitting myself to God's will that allowed me to continue forward and continue building this fire and pursuing a personal relationship with Jesus. Because I mean, when you're going through something like that you need healing for, it's kind of only you and God. Nobody else is gonna heal you. You know, you have to completely put your trust in God there.
Yes,
and so that's why I was able to build a complete and personal relationship with God, and going strong to this day.
Yeah, that's very good. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." And see, that's something, a revelation that you got. So I'm gonna trust in you, God. Amen. I'm gonna rely on you now, and He made your path straight. It seems like that's what happened. You know, I think that's very good for anxious thoughts, right? You know, like when you start relying on Him, right? Because when we rely on ourselves, we're pushing God out of the picture, right? And we're saying, God, I don't trust you enough to take care of me, right? Or to help me through things. And when we finally acknowledge Him and know who He is and surrender to Him and saying, God, I allow you to take control over my life. I allow you to guide me and direct me. I surrender. I trust in you no matter what, God. And He'll make your path straight in that. Closing up here, guys, because we're running out of time here today. Levi, you have any closing remarks before we close off?
No, yeah, it was really good, this podcast. Just getting into detail on your life in Brazil. And obviously in that time in Brazil obviously made you who you are today. All the life lessons you learned, everything you learned. I mean, me and my brother can explain things that happened in our lives too that molded us, right? Obviously, you went at a very young age, prime age for you to get molded and shaped. You built a foundation in your life, and you're always going to remember those stories. And obviously, like, being a pastor's kid, missionary kid, you can have stories that you've been places. I mean, not like kids your age have been. I mean, Brazil, I mean, I trip out too, and I think about, like, dang, this guy was really in Brazil for a while. And that's more than enough time to really, like, change your life. Like, wow, you know? And so come back over here, and, you know, we became friends a couple years back, and we got real close, and just seeing how, you know, we both grew, and it's like, man, it's crazy, you know what I mean? But no, yeah, it's good, and got to explain how it was for you in Brazil and what God did for you, and yeah, man, that's awesome, and we'll have more of these podcasts. Can't wait.
Yeah. And just to close off, man, I love Brazil. On a good note. Yes, it was amazing. So much fun going to the waterfalls, the lakes.
That's
and
why,
everything.
not the people.
No, I go there by myself.
I didn't care about the church.
No, I think in a certain way it was spiritually. No, I mean, I'm happy. I'm mentally and spiritually sound now. I wasn't then, but it was insanely fun. It was really fun. I had a great time with my family. We got so much closer. I built great relationships and friends over there that I have to this day. I still stay in contact with them. I cannot wait to go back to visit these people.
When do you go back?
I'm going to be going back next year.
Awesome.
Is the plan.
For Invasion?
Yeah, an Invasion team, a revival. I think my dad's going to be doing a revival over there.
Nice.
But yeah, it's going to be amazing. And so I just want to thank everyone in Brazil.
In Brazil,
the president.
The president.
Well, no, honestly, yeah, they shaped my life. I had a phenomenal time there. It was so much fun. I love the people. I love the food. I learned so much there.
The food.
It was good.
Oh, that's actually a question I wanted to ask. Well, I guess you already answered it. But what was your favorite dish there?
Something called macarrão.
What is that?
So it is a type of pasta. It's like spaghetti. But it's, I guess it's just what their
Put
type
it
of
there
ingredients.
somewhere.
But it's very, very good. And something interesting about the food over there is, you know how processed and fatty our food is here.
Yeah.
You can eat healthy here and like for as long as you can. But if you go over there and you eat as much as you want, you still lose weight.
Really?
You'll still lose weight. You come back here and you eat healthy, you're gaining weight.
Gaining weight. Yeah.
It's just the way it is because everything over there, it's natural. It's not so processed. So that was a very cool thing. Yeah, we're dying. We're on the verge of death.
I'm not gonna get processed food.
Yeah, unhealthy Americans.
Yes. Anyways, guys, we thank you guys for joining us. If you we hope you like this podcast today. We have Jason Nava on today talking about his experience and everything. Hopefully you like that. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends. Tell us what you thought about it, and tell us, your ideas. Put down the comments, right? Tell us what you took from it, what helped you out. Maybe that did help you. Clip it, share it, post it and whatnot. And we thank you guys. You guys stay blessed. You have a great day. Stay encouraged. Stay strong. Trust in the Lord with all your understanding and acknowledge Him. Okay? Keep growing in Him. Don't give up because it is tough out there. It's always going to be tough. But when you trust in Him, He will guide you and direct you in your path. So like I said, have a great day and God bless. No days off, y'all.
No days
Peace
off.
out. Later. Woo!